Oh yeah, I was just watching this video by Tisa, and I mean I love her generally, but I have to disagree with her on this one. General disclaimer, I'm not going to say that, yes, I can be naive. Yes, I can be naive and have been naive many times in my life, but I also think that I can be intuitive and I can be strategic as well. And I don't agree with what Tisa, I mean, it's very complicated. It was very complicated. I don't want to say I don't agree with what Tisa said. I just left a comment also on her video. I would say that her position is very strong. It's a very strong position, but I think it's also a very what's the word I would use here? I don't think it's sufficiently nuanced, you see. And the thing is that I'm sure she's a lot younger than I am. I'm sure. And I think that your perspective when you're young, I don't know how old she is, but I'm assuming she's under 40. She might be in Megan's age group or something, or younger. She could even be in her 20s. She has absolutely no wrinkles, um, or gray hairs. So I don't know. But, the problem with being young sometimes is that your perspective can be very one dimensional, and it can be very, very, I mean, it can lack depth. And I say this with all due respect because I like her, but have I been in a place where she is, where you only see life in two colors? Yes, we all have. And what Meghan and Harry need to be very careful about, and hopefully they, they're in Meghan's 40 and Harry's almost 40. So they're not babies. They've lived, okay? You have to be very careful about the advice that you take when you are in a relationship. Nobody can bust up a relationship like your well meaning friends, you see? And the idea of, okay, your family did this, you do this. And no, this isn't life. This isn't a long term marriage, okay? This is a divorce. What she is suggesting, it leads to divorce. Okay. Now, what Harry did here, hopefully they talked about it and they both agreed to it. I think they did. Because, of course, if they did not agree, yes, that could also be very, very problematic. That eventually does unravel this relationship. Okay. But my sense is the fact that they took such a long time to make this decision, it means that they discussed it ad nauseum until they made a final decision of what to do in a very, very difficult situation. Okay. Now, Tisa, again, she has a very one dimensional way. You did this, I do this, it's finished. You can't do that in a relationship. Look, I've never been married, but I've watched my parents. You see, they have been married now for over 50 years, right? And I look at them sometimes and I'm like, you must be kidding me. There's no way in hell that I could ever do this, right? I mean, I couldn't be married for 50 years. Not with some of the things that I see go on in 50-year marriages, okay? It's not always a pretty sight, all right? And I have a very low threshold for nonsense. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm gone, okay? This is not marriage. Now, it doesn't mean that marriage needs to be excruciating and miserable and whatever. No. But you can't approach your marriage in a way that is very, you know, black or white, no pun intended, hot or cold, yes or no. These absolutes, no, no. Now, I don't want to say everything on a YouTube channel, right? But I think the best decision was reached here. Now, maybe that's what they wanted all along. Tisa, you're not wrong with a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot here, and you're absolutely right about it. You know, maybe they did want this from the beginning, but you know what, Tisa? I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong. I don't think you're right with that. I think they wanted Megan there badly. Not because they loved her. There's no love lost there. But they wanted Megan there. And they needed Megan there because Megan is going to be such a huge distraction to take away a lot of, the inevitable backlash that's going to come from at least a couple of different corners against Charles and Camilla on that day. This is a very complicated situation, and Megan's presence there would have been very, very helpful because it's so distracting to them. So I think you're wrong about that. They did not want her to not come. Or let me put this a different way. They wanted her to come, but not because they loved her. Okay? And her not going, believe it or not, is one of the biggest foils to whatever plans they had that you could ever imagine. Behind the scenes, it's full on 100% panic because now they need a plan B. They didn't see this coming. They thought Megan was going to come. They wanted Megan to come. They need Megan to come. Now, Harry, this is a brilliant move. Sometimes, Tisa, you've got to think counterintuitively. The intuitive move is go off in a huff and don't go. How easy that would be, right? But Harry going is very, very strategic because I don't want to say everything on YouTube, right? But this is the right move in this situation. And it's important to understand in this situation, every situation is different, Tisa. And yes, there's some situations where you just pack your Georgie bungle and you get your such and such out of the situation. Bien sûr, okay? Bien sûr. But every situation is different and needs to be analyzed on a case by case basis. Harry can't just toss his family and ignore his family and say to hell with his family. He's not in that kind of family, period. Whether we are pro monarchy or anti monarchy or whatever, this is a very, very complicated situation. And he can't just say the hell with all of you the way that I'm sure sometimes he thinks or sometimes they think. Neither can they, by the way. They're doing the right thing. That's my position, and I'm sticking to it.